Thank you. I'm going to call tonight's meeting of the Wethersfield Planning and Zoning Commission to order. We will begin with the roll call, and I am going to ask our clerk, Anthony Homicki, if you would call the roll, please.
Commissioner Hammer is here. Mr. Lambruni?
Here.
I am here. Commissioner Brecklin?
Here.
Commissioner Deane?
Here.
Commissioner Drake?
Here.
Commissioner Edwards?
Here.
Commissioner Hughes is not. Commissioner Gianfrido?
Here.
Commissioner Ercolini is not here. Commissioner Laurie?
Here.
Commissioner Thompson is not here. But we do have a town planner, David Elder.
All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it looks like there are 9 of us in total, so everyone will participate tonight. We have one public hearing item, and before we start that, just quickly want to go over the procedures for public hearings. We'll begin by asking the applicant to come up and identify yourself, name and address for the record, and present your application to us. If there were anyone in the audience, there'd be an opportunity for them to ask questions or comment. The commission members will have a chance to ask questions as well. And then we will, if things can conclude tonight, we'll decide whether to close the public hearing. And once we close the public hearing, we're not able to talk with the applicant any further or take any more information from the applicant. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. With that said, the public hearing tonight is number 2197-25, TVI Inc. DBA Green Drop LLC seeking a modification to special permit for a mobile donation collection service which has expired for property at 1380 to 1430 Berlin Turnpike. So if the applicant is here and would like to come forward.
Good evening. Members of the Planning Commission, thank you for having me here this evening. I appreciate it. My name is Ronald D. That's D as in David, E.E. I live at 30 Pleasant Court in Brewster, Massachusetts. That's 02631. That's where I keep my professional office. I'm a real estate management consultant working for TVI Inc. TVI Inc. is the owner of the Savers thrift store chain. We have 2 of them here in the area, one in Newington and one in Manchester. They're second-hand seller of household goods, anything in your house that's less than 50 pounds, clothing, anything else, household goods. We have another division called Green Drop. I was here about 13 or 14 months ago asking for a special permit to locate one of our Green Drop mobile donation offices in the parking lot at the Jordan Lane Shopping Center near the Stop and Shop. Green Drop, as you may remember from my previous application, is a mobile donation office. It's a brand new $130,000, $30,000, 43-foot long, 8.5-foot wide, 10.5-foot high mobile office trailer that's self-contained with its own restroom and its own office. It will be located on 5 parking spaces. We have a lease with the property owners of Jordan Lane. It is an annual lease that renews. We pay them about $30,000 a year to locate this mobile office trailer in the parking lot. The Green Drop mobile office trailer will be open 363 days a year. It's closed on Christmas and Thanksgiving. Otherwise, it's open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have 2 uniformed staffed employees there every day. They are there to greet donors. Donors are residents in the neighborhood that have household goods from their home that they no longer want, and they are donating it to Green Drop on behalf of the American Red Cross. Green Drop is partnered with the American Red Cross throughout the United States. We have approximately 100 of these locations from New York City all the way to Hawaii. These Green Drop locations collect an average of 19,000 pounds of household goods per week. Again, anything in your house less than 50 pounds, we don't collect liquid. We take electronics, we take kitchen appliances, we take small pieces of furniture, we take clothing, we take decor items. Those decor items, when they land on the Green Drop mobile office trailer, belong to the American Red Cross until TVI Inc. and Savers buys it from them. Last year, TVI Inc. and Savers purchased over $6.5 million worth of donated household goods from the American Red Cross. The American Red Cross doesn't want the goods, they just want the funds generated from the sale of these goods to TVI and Savers. Savers. Then TVI and Savers sells those goods in our Savers thrift store chains. TVI and Savers are a public company. We're traded on the New York Stock Exchange. We have approximately 330 stores in the United States and Canada, renting about 25 stores per year. These Green Drop locations are very well received by most municipalities around the country. They turn into a community asset. The goods that we collect donated to Green Drop on behalf of the American Red Cross normally would wind up in a landfill or the trash or thrown away, and therefore we are creating a method for those to be donated to create funds for the American Red Cross and to become secondhand opportunities for people to purchase at the Savers thrift store chains. The reason our special permit expired and we never opened the Green Drop location the last time I obtained approval from you is after I received your approval, I went to Eversource to get permission to connect the mobile office trailer to electric. These Green Drop trailers used to be operated on a gasoline-powered generator. We have about 50 or 60 of those around the country that are still operated by a gasoline-powered generator. Being green and being charitable and being in the recycling business, we chose not to operate them on a gasoline-powered generator anymore because of the obvious reasons for pollution, and they create noise. Went to Eversource, made an application about a year ago, and it literally took me until last month to get Eversource to approve, give me a permit, install a utility pole, run the hot electric wire across the street to the front of the shopping center to our proposed location. I then hired a local electrician named Craig Porter. He came out and ran the secondary line from the new utility pole to the location of the proposed Green Drop trailer, gave me a dedicated meter that's mounted on a post out there, and a 50 amp electrical socket that we can plug into. So that entire process took the entirety of 1 year from the day I made the first phone call to Eversource to making the application to going through engineering, and the process of getting Eversource to actually do the work took over a year. Probably, no lie, I'm not making this, probably 150 phone calls, 50 emails, very slow to respond, generally not in the customer service business to provide this type of opportunity for us. So we are ready to go now. The work is done. If you go out there today, the 50 amp electrical socket is there. It's hot, it's ready, it's connected to a dedicated electrical meter. The landlord's very happy, Green Drop's happy, and we're here to ask you for permission to extend the special permit that was granted, I believe, in the end of 2023 for us to locate the Green Drop in this location.
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple quick questions. I don't know if you've seen it tonight, but there's a memo from staff that was on November 15th, 2023 at the time of your original application.
Yes.
Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I am.
And just to confirm, my understanding is everything remains the same as you presented it in November of 2023 in terms of how this will work, where it will be placed, what will be placed, hours of operation, et cetera?
There are no changes.
Okay. And just also want to note that we have a memo. Actually, I was going to ask you, there's a picture of the parking lot, and I don't think it labels, does it? Oh, I see. It's on the upper left on the bottom part of the access entrance from the Berlin Turnpike. Okay.
As you pull into the shopping center, the Green Drop trailer will be located on the right-hand side and the 5 parking spaces closest to the street, perpendicular to the road.
Okay, and then I just also want to mention to the commission members, I'm sure you've seen it, but there's a memo from David Elder, town planner, to us dated February 12th, 2025, and he suggests that he first cites the fact that under our regulations, the proper procedure was for a new special permit application to be made, given that the other one had fully expired. So that's why the applicant is here tonight. And I think from our perspective, if nothing has changed from the original approval, I think that's an important consideration for us. Town planner has recommended that if the commission approves the application, that we continue with the 12-month term for the permit, but maybe this time say that it will run from the date the activity starts rather than from this evening, correct?
That is correct, yeah.
And how soon would you actually think?
Within 30 days.
within 30?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
need to, the first thing we'll need to do is hiring. We'll probably hire 4 to 5 people to cover the 7 shifts per week. Once we have them hired, we'll send out a neighborhood notification. We generally send out about 15,000 postcards within the vicinity to let residents know and businesses that we were going to be opening. And we'll have a little grand opening ceremony, and that'll all take about 30 days.
And I'm just ask Dave, is there can you log in and calendar and track the 12 months? Will you be alerted to when the opening occurs, or perhaps that's something we could ask the applicant to do to inform you?
Yeah, yes, we need to figure out that what commences means. I don't know if you're getting a building permit. You probably already have your building permit, so I don't want to use that date, but you're not operating. So I think I'm open to suggestions. If you want to give me a call or stop in, or have the operator stop in, or just
Sure.
send me an email and say, we started today, go out and take a look, and I will just make a note of that in the file so that we can
That'd be
use
great.
that as the start date.
Yeah, a couple of comments. So last time I was here 15 months ago, I asked if we would need a building permit. We're not doing any construction. The construction has been done through Eversource. They did say they recommended that I contact the fire marshal. He would come out the day before we open, made sure that I had a certified fire extinguisher on the property. But because there's no construction, and this is actually a licensed registered vehicle, I should mention that it will have a license plate on it. It's on wheels. It's not going to be, physically connected to the ground except for the 50 amp plug. So we'll call the fire marshal, but you will all be notified. We generally send out grand opening notification. You'd be surprised. I just opened 4 of these in the Buffalo, New York market, and each one of them, I'm not making this up, I had 15 or 20 people show up from the municipality and the surrounding organizations to help cut the ribbon. When you open up something that's charitable and green, it tends to draw people to take a photograph and have it put in the newspaper. So we'll have a grand opening ceremony, and you guys will all be made aware of that. So that will be the opening day. The opening day will have the grand opening ceremony as long as the weather is cooperative.
Okay. Commission members, questions? I see Tracy.
So my question is, why is this only permitted for 12 months? Is it,
I
a lot of times we give permits for much more time.
correct, and I'm not remembering specifically. Maybe the applicant can add to this, but in past applications, I think we've given a 12-month or sometimes some other duration attached to it, just so that we can be comfortable and see that it's working out, that there's not impacts on the traffic in the parking lot, or impacts from the operations, that type of thing. And then the applicant would have to come back at the end of the period to renew it, basically. Do you
Sure.
recall anything along those lines from
I
last
think so.
time?
This is typical. As I travel around the country, and as I mentioned, I've done these between New York and Honolulu, we typically get a special use permit or a temporary use permit, because this business model is not written into anybody's zoning code. It's a relatively new and unique business model. Most municipalities want to give us a temporary permit so they can evaluate the business and make sure that it is functioning without creating any nuisance to the community. I can tell you that the first Green Drop opened up in 2012 near Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We give every one of our landlords we usually sign a 1 to 3 year lease with a landlord. We give every one of our landlords a 30-day kick out for any reason if they don't feel that we are being a good business operator. And since 2012, we've never been asked to leave a single location. My biggest concern and the most pride I take in the Green Drop model is we very often replace unmanned donation bins. The unmanned donation bins, as you know, often get messy and they become a nuisance. The reason communities like us is we have 2 full-time employees there every day. It's sacred to us to not have a landlord show up in the morning and find things on the ground. It generally doesn't happen. One of the reasons it doesn't happen is people know that we have employees there. They can pull up, they can have a small conversation, and they can get an emailed receipt from the American Red Cross. So most people want to show up and get that, that receipt from us. In order to do that, they give us a name, a phone number, and an email address if they so choose.
There's an issue that at the original hearing that I approached you with, but I'll phrase it a little bit differently, as I've seen a couple of documentaries, particularly one on 60 Minutes, relating to the American exports to basically countries such as those in sub-Saharan Africa and the Indian subcontinent.
Sure.
American used clothing goods that basically wound up being exports of American trash to those countries, since it's some of this stuff that's sent, or much of it is unusable for those countries anyway. So I want to find out how much, if any, of your goods wind up being exported outside the United States.
Sure. I'll answer that question and tell you exactly what the process is. Everything on the green drop trailer will get picked up by a 16-foot Savers box truck at one of these two stores in the Hartford area, Newington or Manchester. When the trailer gets full, we will call them. They send out a box truck. They unload by hand all of the things that have been donated on the green drop trailer into the box truck. It gets taken to one of the Savers stores. In the back of one of the Savers stores, the two here, there's a room where they sort all these items. They go through each box, each bag, each donation one at a time. They determine whether or not it is trash. If it's trash and it's just a damaged piece of good that cannot be resold, it literally goes in the garbage. It goes in the trash. We have trash bins and we have recycling bins. The rest of the goods are priced. They are categorized and they are priced. Once they're priced, they get put on the shelf at the Savers thrift store, Manchester or Newington. They're date coded. They stay on the rack for 7 days. If it doesn't sell in 7 days, it goes in the back and it goes on an 18-foot trailer that's parked at the back of the Savers store. Those 18-foot trailers that are parked at the back of the Savers stores are sold to wholesale companies. We can sell as many of those wholesale tractor trailers full of unsold thrift store product as possible. There are wholesalers out there that buy these tractor trailers full of unsold thrift product, and they do ship them overseas. Once we sell it to those wholesalers, we really don't know where it goes. They can ship it to China, South America, India. We don't know where it goes after that fact. When it goes out the back door Savers to those wholesalers, it belongs to them, and they can take it wherever they want to be. As a lifelong Buffalo Bills fan, I can tell you that during the 4 consecutive Buffalo Bills losses in the 1990s, there were literally thousands of young children walking around the world wearing Buffalo Bills champion Super Bowl shirts for many years. So that is a true story. You know, when you hear about those Super Bowl losing team, those sweatshirts and things get sent overseas and they get purchased by other people in other countries.
What percentage of your total take winds up being in that?
I don't know, but I can find that out for you. We're a public company, and that's public information at Savers, so I can get on TVI Inc., and I'll get that information for you and get it to you. I don't have that off the top of my head.
I would appreciate if you would do so, to send it to the Office of Planning here in town.
I will do that.
Tom, just to clear, I mean, if that's something that we are going to consider, then we would have to keep the public hearing open and not act on this tonight. So I think we need to evaluate that. I guess from my perspective, I appreciate your comments and questions, and I think the answers would be interesting, but I don't know that they're really central to our decision, which I think has got to be focused more on what is the use and will it impact its surroundings and the area where they're going to look at the trailer. And just like any business or entity, I mean, we can't, through zoning, control where they go with their products or, after the fact. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that information coming in, but I think if,
Sure.
I just think we have to follow those procedures.
I'll accept your phraseology, and I would not want to hold up the decision of the commission, but certainly my vote is in certain doubt as a consequence of what has been indicated here, and so I'd appreciate if at his own volition, if the applicant would provide that information.
Okay.
Sure.
But obviously, it's not something that is completely germane, but it is something that I cannot consciously vote to have our country's problems being exported to other countries.
Yeah, I would just remind you that, the stuff that's being donated to Green Drop usually winds up in the trash, in the garbage, if it doesn't go to Green Drop. Then it goes to Savers. If it doesn't get sold at the Savers store, if nobody, here in the States buys it, it gets sold to these wholesalers. The wholesalers pay for us for it by the truckload. And once that happens, I don't know where it goes. I can tell you there are some 2024 Kansas City Chiefs jerseys floating around the internationally somewhere right now.
Peter, you had a question, I think?
Yeah, I'll just, before I ask my questions, I'll just comment, Tom, that I had a similar thought, but the way he described it, these are products that they tried to sell, so I would assume they're not garbage, right? That's
Correct.
what you said, right?
Yeah, that's
Try to
correct.
sell these,
We put them on the shelf for 7
right,
days.
for 7 days, and then if they don't sell, then you just sell them somewhere else, and someone else takes them.
That's correct.
So, this issue of is it garbage or not, I guess I'm okay with it. That's just my reaction to what he said. But the question I had was, I don't like open-ended approvals, and there's a little bit of an open end here. If we say that you have a year from start of operation, not knowing exactly when start of operation is, what if you, another year delayed? I mean, it's unlikely, but who knows? You have a corporate issue and a year goes by, 2 years goes by, does that carry for 2 years then? So I would be opposed to a motion like that, but I would be okay if we said something to the effect that start of operation, an operation to start no later than.
Sure.
I mean, you have to define what then is.
How about April 1st?
That'd be great. That's my question.
Whatever the first Monday is in April.
So that way you're compelled to get started. It's
Yeah.
not another year. As a matter of fact, a number of people were asking me what was happening with this.
Yeah.
Because I had been talking about it, and it's curious that
Yep.
you came in at just this time.
Yeah, or, could you say the 12-month period will run from either April, excuse me, either from, what was this thinking?
April 1st, you said?
Whatever the first Monday is in
I guess what
April.
I'm trying to say is in other words, if the operations don't start by April 1st or 7th or whatever the day is, then their time starts running on that date regardless.
Or
But
you could say it that way.
or the other way we could do it, I guess, is just say it'll be for 13 months. He's told us he's going to be up and running in a month, right? So with a number of ways you could
I'd
handle
just
it.
like to tie that up
Yeah,
a little
I
bit so it
understand.
doesn't become open-ended.
Yep.
Hasn't he already commenced, since he's put power in, the power's there?
Yeah.
You've commenced operation
We
already.
spent about $45,000 installing the power.
Yeah, so when did the power go in?
The power's been there for about a month already.
Oh, it's been a month.
It's on the
I don't want
pole.
to cheat you out of a month, but
It's on the pole.
to me, it's already commenced.
Yeah, but it's on the pole. I mean, I have power on my pole, doesn't mean I have
No,
to
I
use it.
understand, but he's writing a check to Eversource every
Yeah.
month.
But the power's at the curb. I just want to let you know we have a dedicated power outlet
There's a
meter at the
business
curb.
there, he's writing a check to Eversource every month. He's
We
commenced.
would have opened already. I
Whatever, it's
had
fine.
forgotten that the special permit was only granted for 1 year. Most of them are usually 2 or 3 years. So I was getting ready to open. I called Lynn Rowe to make sure we were clear to open, and she reminded me that the permit had expired.
Yeah, I mean, right.
I just want to mention too, the landlord repaved the area of the parking lot in the vicinity of Green Drop to make sure that it was, clean and level and neat and ready for us. So that's been done since last paving season.
By the way, I mean, I'm okay with you saying, December 31st, 2025. I just want a date.
I understand.
It seems to be reasonable, and it's
Yeah.
not open-ended. You don't have to constrain yourself to April. I mean, I understand that.
Very good.
Chris?
How long is your lease? When does that go till?
It's a 1-year lease, but it automatically renews every year unless the landlord or the tenant choose to terminate. So it's a 1-year lease that automatically renews.
I was just thinking if we knew the actual length of the lease, we could just say until that date. It'd be easy.
Right.
Other question I have is about sort of security on the spot. That trailer sits there, I assume, all night.
Yeah, so we have 6 internet-connected security cameras on the trailer. There are 4 on the outside of the trailer and 2 on the inside of the trailer, 1 in the office and 1 on the back of the trailer where their goods are stored. They are monitored by a third-party security company. The primary purpose for us, if somebody does, like right now, go and drop something off in the parking lot, the Savers store gets a phone call. they send out a car or a truck as necessary to pick up what's in the parking lot and bring it back to the Savers store, because again, we have a sacred rule, I can't have anything left in the parking lot overnight. I don't want a landlord, we're in some Simon Mall properties around the country. I don't want David Simon showing up at 8 o'clock in the morning and saying, hey, there's a mattress in the parking lot, what the heck's going on? So the answer to your question is we have 6 internet connected security cameras on the trailer, 4 outside, 2 inside.
Thank you. And then you mentioned it's registered. Is it registered? It's registered in Connecticut?
Connecticut license plate.
Wethersfield?
Yeah. It'll have a license plate on it. The reason for that, if the trailer has a restroom in it and an office and, computer and stuff, if at any time it needs maintenance, we can pull up a dually pickup truck, bring in a new trailer, remove that one, fix it, and bring it back. So they're always road ready, if you will. They're always registered to be prepared to be driven on the road at any time. So this will have a Connecticut license plate on it. I think you have a picture of one of the trailers in the application package, right? That's it. It will look exactly like that.
Mr. Chairman, I did want to talk a little bit about process. We don't necessarily need to do it during the public hearing, but if we think we might be asking the applicant questions, we probably should. So if you look at your agenda for the look ahead, we have a similar application at our next meeting where the commission approved the special permit with a limitation on time. And so, as you all know, some minor site plan modifications can be approved by the zoning official with concurrence from the town engineer and the town planner. Changes or modifications to conditions on a special permit cannot. And so the regulations are very clear that any special permit may be amended in like manner as provided above for the granting of a special permit. So anytime someone with a condition on a special permit, including a time limitation, needs to come back, apply for a special permit, we need to have a public hearing and look at the application. I mention that because if that's what the commission wants to do, by all means, we can continue to do this. However, if 12 months go by and the operation is successful and things have been, copacetic, things are going as expected, in order for us to extend that time where the applicant's gonna have to reapply. And so what I wanted to suggest, or at least have the commission consider, do we want to, in the motion for approval, because if it's in the motion as a condition, and I will read the section which brought us here, as it says, I'm on page 122, it's section Article 10, Administration 10.1C, number 8. It says, where the commission finds or has reason to believe that circumstances or conditions upon which a special permit is warranted may change over time, the commission may limit the time during which the special permit shall remain valid and may cause the review and substantiation of the justifying circumstances or conditions at periodic intervals or when occupancy or tenancy of the premise changes. And so I read that, and again, for consideration, is this something where we would want to include in a motion, if in fact a motion to approve is what happens tonight, something that administratively says, following the 12-month term that's been permitted with some conditions, assuming no changes in the site conditions or there have been no enforcement proceedings, the special permit may continue for another 12 months. And then say, but no more than, 36 months, the applicant must come back for a new special permit. I just suggest that as a way to avoid what could be unnecessary administration if things go swimmingly.
And I guess I'd just say, to me, that language is a little bit vague, in terms of not completely defined. So I think our practice in the past has been, and I guess when I say vague, I guess I'm saying if you do it that way, is there a question as to whether the commission, if there really is a problem, can revoke it or not? I guess with the 12-month term or whatever the term is that we put on one, we know there's a defined control there that they got to come back. And then I think as a practical matter, if they come back once and there have been no issues, then the commission could easily do it, longer or indefinitely. Could both be choices. But and I'm also just thinking. So I'm just thinking in terms of consistency. I think that's something worthy of further consideration, but I think we've also got another one coming in that was approved the old way as well, and I think if we start going down that road now, we're sort of embarking on it full-time with lots of them potentially. So my suggestion is on this one, perhaps maintain it. Sometimes we've waived the reapplication fee at the end of a 12-month period, depending on the circumstance, although I want to be careful that we not impose undue expense on the town either, but that's also something that we have done from time to time to help the applicant. So I would prefer to discuss that in more detail, I think, with you and with the commission, as opposed to in the context of a potential vote tonight, just to make sure we all understand how it might work.
Understood.
Okay. And again, just to pick up on what Dave said, so I think this is being viewed as he's technically, I guess he's modifying the termination date condition, but in reality, I think it's being viewed as the reactivation of something that completely expired, even though they never operated for a day, has to go through the same process that a modification of a condition would. And I think that's, part of the control, and when you put a term on it, it also gives the public a chance to come in and weigh in if there really have been issues and problems. And on some of these things that we deal with, we've got public concern, before the initial granting as well. So I think that sort of goes into the mix a little bit. But anybody else have any questions in terms of the operations or anything like that here? Yes, Tony.
I'm grateful that Dave brought this to our attention because I wasn't aware of it. And I think it's important to continue the discussion for future, especially when we have other applicants coming in that we've given special permits to, and we make them come in year after year after year, which is far and few. If there's no complaints, I think this application is very thorough, very complete. It's quite a compliment to the community. Hopefully there won't be any complaints. It's a positive exercise, and this is great to have for future discussion for other applicants that are coming through, in addition to you coming back next year.
Sure.
Asking maybe for a 2-year term and something more positive, so it's a good
I usually
thing.
come in, buy a tank of gas, eat dinner, and stay at a hotel, so it works out. It's got economic impact to the community.
There you go.
Just, again, the commission will debate, A, whether they want to approve, and B, how to phrase any conditions. But I guess if we were to simply say an approval is through March 31st, 2026, which is,
That's
6
acceptable to
weeks
me.
over a year, that would work for you
Yes,
as well?
absolutely.
Okay.
That would
Okay.
work.
Thank you. Any other, anything else? If not, do you have anything?
No,
Final
I would
words?
just add, I just say in case you hear anything on the street, I have another one of these going into Elmwood Plaza in West Hartford. I received their approval about the same time I came to you in 2023, and same exact situation with Eversource. So we're just getting that electric straightened out right now. Very good.
All right, if no one else has anything further, would somebody like to move to close the hearing?
So moved.
Peter, is there a second? Second, Tracy, all in favor, please say aye. 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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, hearing is closed, and now would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve an extension of public hearing 2197-25Z to June 1st, 26. Give you more time.
Very good. Thank you.
It's a motion to approve the application with an end date of June 1, 2026.
Correct.
Okay, and at that point, the applicant would have to return if it seeks to extend. Okay. Is there a second? Second, Tracy, you were first, I think. Any discussion before we vote? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Any abstentions? All right, application is approved. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Good
Thank
to see
you.
you again. See you in June of 26,
Okay.
or May of 26, probably.
Doesn't snow in Buffalo, does it?
I live in Cape Cod right now, Brewster, and you have significantly more snow than us right now.
There you go.
Yes.
We got some, but not like this.
The
Have a great night. Drive safe.
Take care.
Thank you. Next, I guess, is minutes. Is that right, Dave?
Yes.
I think. All right, so we've got the minutes of the meeting that was held on January 22nd. It looks like that was the night we had everybody and all alternates here, and it was a short meeting. Any questions or comments on the minutes? And if not, would somebody like to make a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes?
This motion, Peter, second. If any questions, comments? Did you have some? Nope. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Minutes are approved. I think next is Dave is going to give us an update on the plan of conservation and development.
Yeah, I wanted to, I've been participating with the Plan of Conservation Development. It was well on its way when I started, and they're at the point where they're assembling the final draft document. There was what will likely be the final advisory committee meeting earlier, I think it was last week. And there's a series of strategies, recommendations, and goals. They're all draft. And so the next step would be for us to circulate those back amongst the community. And then at some point, when this commission, it's a function of this commission to adopt the Plan of Conservation Development. When this commission thinks it's ready, we need to schedule a public hearing. And that date of adoption really becomes the first time, the critical path item where all the other requirements fall from. And so I know the plan's been going on for quite a while. I was thinking that, the end of the fiscal year seems like a reasonable goal, so June 30th. I realize you have not all seen the draft plan, so of course, if you see it and you say this isn't good at all, let's go back to the drawing board, we can do that. But I put together a schedule to back that up, and if our meeting in June 17th is the meeting, then we would need to send a draft of the plan to the council by April 13th. And so I use that date because you all need to be familiar and comfortable with that plan before we send it to the town council. And so between now and then, I want to try to get it in your hands. I also offered to, make some presentations to some of the other committees and boards in town just so they're familiar with it. It does largely reflect a lot of the comments received from all the engagement. There was a survey, and they incorporated some of the goals and recommendations from 2013. So there really shouldn't be any surprises. And I think if you're all familiar with the plans of conservation and development, they're really, you include a lot in there. And it's largely intended now to support, sometimes it's grant applications, sometimes it's for decision-making. But, on one hand, for example, we want to say, the town wants to identify town-owned open space for agricultural or municipal purposes, and on the other side, in the economic development strategy, we might say, the town wants to identify town-owned property for development opportunities. So we want to have both of those so that when we're presented with an opportunity, we can say, we have contemplated this in our plan of conservation development. We think that this strategy supports it. You're probably all familiar with that. But my point is, I just want to get you thinking about this. I will send out I sent it out to town staff to get some comments on. I asked for next Friday. Once I have that, I'm going to send out a document to you all. It's about 16 pages long, and it's essentially a long list of goals and strategies and recommendations. I would ask you all to take a look at it and see if there's anything that kind of strikes you as wrong or not in there. And so, you will be the first group to see it, and then we will formalize it. There'll be maps and graphics and everything else that goes with a plan of conservation development. But I just want to get you thinking about that because if we do want to get it done this fiscal year, we would formally recommend it to the council in April. So,
Dave, there was a discussion at our last committee meeting that maybe a presentation by a consultant would be a good thing. Is that still in the works?
absolutely. Sorry, I should have said that. And I was going to say we have between now and April to, we could have a workshop, we could dive into it, the full commission, or we could start with a presentation.
Well, I just wanted to bring that up to the other members here that haven't sat through the committee meetings. Myself and Tony and Tom have. So we're pretty familiar with it, but, seeing it the first time, reading it, it's not bad, but it'd be better if we had a face-to-face, I think. You could ask questions and it'd be a dialogue.
Also, David, at the advisory committee meeting, one of the last issues that we were dealing with on that was the formal process of the formal approval process and what bodies have to do what when and in what order for the plan to be adopted ultimately or rejected. Has that been ironed out?
I did. I spent some time on that yesterday and today, and I do have that timeline. I'm happy to go through it quickly if you want, just to give a general overview.
Yeah, just a general overview would be.
To confirm first at the meeting, it is the Planning and Zoning Commission that will adopt it. Planning and Zoning Commission is required to hold at least one public hearing. 65 days before that public hearing on adoption, the plan needs to be sent to the legislative body, which is the town council in Wethersfield. Also, 65 days before that public hearing on adoption, it needs to go to the Regional Council of Governments, which is CROG. Both of those things need to happen. 35 days before that public hearing on adoption, we need to post a draft on the website, the municipality's website. And then also 35 days prior to that public hearing on adoption, we need to have a draft file on file with the town clerk's office. Once it's been, there's some, within that time period, those 65 days, we can send it to town council. The town council does not actually need to take any action on it. This body can approve it without them taking an action, or they could choose to endorse it, or they could choose to endorse part of it and not other parts of it. And they can also choose to hold a public hearing if they want, but they don't have to. It's up to them if they want to hold a public hearing. If for some reason the town council were to not endorse a part of it, this body can still adopt it and approve it, but it has to be by a 2/3 majority vote. I really hope that we don't have to do that. I would like the entire town and everyone behind it to be in alignment on the plan. I think it's so broad, I don't know how really you could find anything to object, but by all means, maybe there is. But my goal is that everyone endorses it and is in alignment, but that is the process. So, and then once it's been adopted, we have to, within 30 days, we have to post a final version on the website, and within 60 days, we have to send that final version to the Office of Policy and Management.
So they had to go to CROG 65 days before it went to town council?
It go the same 65 days.
Same 65 days. I was going to say, you don't have enough time, you got to do it now. Okay.
No, it's, yeah, same 65. So whatever day we send it to council, we should send it to the Capital Region Council of Governments. But so the answer is yes. I did talk to Rory. She's happy to come in and we could have a presentation. We could schedule something separately, so it's the only item on the agenda. Or, right now our agenda is kind of light, if you ask me.
So, I mean, that's at the pleasure of the other commission members that haven't sat through the meetings. So if you'd like to do that, we could ask Dave to set something up for us.
I guess, Dave, with all the 65-day advance notices, if you were trying to have a hearing at our second meeting in June, I don't know what date the second meeting
June
is.
17th. Oh, that's the,
Second, yeah.
I think it's the
Must be the
2nd.
3rd and the 17th. So to be on by June 17th, it means those 65-day things would have to be out probably by April 10th or something.
April 7th is the
Okay.
meeting. Well, April 13th is the day of 65,
so you gotta
but
back it up.
assuming it's a date of receipt of their meeting we would want it on town council's agenda April 7th,
Right? So
or not later than
So
April
the
7th.
bottom line is we really have March
Right.
available to us to do.
Can we get a
Whatever.
presentation next meeting? For the next meeting?
It might be premature because it's still work in progress. I think there's a lot of data that's coming together very quickly. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know,
Well, do we need a final version though? Does that make that much difference?
maybe not. But I think we could leave that in Dave's hand to
So,
tell us with Rory and see what the status is.
and Dave, so right now, the two upcoming applications that you cite here, those are both going to be on the first meeting in March?
Yes, yes.
So would it, so far, any sense of whether the second meeting in March is going to have anything on it?
I don't,
I mean, you can't
as of
predict
right now,
maybe
no.
Yeah,
We don't have anything pending for the second meeting in March.
looking at what the date is, but I don't know if these are both going to be quick things relatively, the two that we have, hopefully.
They should be, but a lot of times the ones I think are going to be short end up being long
Right.
and vice versa. But I do think, to your point, I think a lot of the presentation I've seen, the data is there. It's just whether or not it's in a presentable format. It's not combined. But I think we would probably be sitting through a pretty lengthy PowerPoint to go through the existing
I think it'd be best if we do it the second meeting in March. Give Rory some time to kind of summarize and make it a little sharper.
Yeah, I can certainly do that. And keep in mind, that end of the fiscal year is just something that I chose. It'd be good. I know it's been a work in progress. It's been going on. And, when you start to see the date of if the data was collected in 2023 or 2024 and the cover of the plan says 2026, you don't want to come out with a new plan that has 2 or 3-year-old data. So.
I agree. I think the second meeting in March would give more time for prep, and then we can just see how it goes. And if we decide that it can't make it for a June public hearing, we'll just have to adjust if needed. So.
We're talking about making available the report 35 days, making available to the public. Is that 35 days before the June 17th or 35 days before the April 7th?
35 days before the June 17th.
Thank you.
So is it something that would be possible, so like if we were to have this presentation at the second meeting in March, then our first meeting in April is the 1st, because it's the first Tuesday, right? Or are we not? So then, would we make the decision on the 1st? Because that's right before that April 7th town council meeting. Is that enough time?
Yeah. Yeah, you would make a motion to endorse the plan and set the public hearing for endorsement for the June 17th meeting and send it to town council.
So the
it's just a
formal adoption of the plan, that's the June 17th.
Correct.
The meeting that we're looking at for, end of March or 1st of April, that's basically to
Get it to town
send it
council.
forward to the other bodies.
Correct. And what's interesting, there's a couple interesting things just, right? So everything backs up to 65 days from the public hearing on adoption. But you could theoretically hold the public hearing open, right? So we might say June 17th, we're going to open the public hearing, but for many possible good reasons, we say, you know what, we're going to continue this, in which case the public hearing adoption just moved out. But it doesn't matter because we've already sent the notices before that. The other interesting thing is, the whole reason that we're sending this to town council and we're making it publicly available is to get more public comment. So good planning would say there might be something that we receive that makes us change the plan. So in my mind, it's still a draft in progress up until the night, the day that we endorse the plan.
Again, she's still preparing portions, correct, that have not been completed yet? Some of the specific text?
The only thing that I'm aware she's doing is assembling the maps, data, and graphics in the written portions, which are going to reinforce the goals and strategies that we've already seen. So I don't think we're going to see any new information that the advisory committee hasn't seen. And I know some people have been more involved with others, but I think, and that's why I was saying if I can send out those 16 pages of the goals, strategies, the vision, goals, and strategies, I think you'll really be able to get the flavor of the plan.
I think if those can go out early in March and then people have looked at it for the second meeting and then we take it from there, that sounds like a good plan.
Okay.
All right, we could call upon Rich, who's in the audience, to give us some thoughts on the plan of development. I'm sure the procedure associated with that, the confusing statutory timeframes and everything that we were just talking about. So, okay. Anything else, Dave?
I did want to just follow up after our last meeting. We have another one at the next meeting. So we have another application for alcohol sales and a beverage permit. And after the last meeting, I was interested because similar, we had talked about, it says liquor on the application. It says grocery, beer, liquor. And so I learned, actually one of the applicants came in and one of the attorneys who does a lot of work with the Department of Consumer Protection and Alcohol Sales says that in the statutes, liquor and alcohol are used interchangeably. So a lot of times you'll see liquor in the same context that you would alcohol. But rest assured, when they apply, there are different applications in different forms, and there's 3. And so I wanted to know this because when the applicant came in, I wanted to make sure I signed the right forms. So if you are a restaurant or a cafe or a casino or a nightclub, you are going to fill out one application, and at the top of it, there's check boxes. There's restaurant, nonprofit club, a resort, a taco bar, restaurant, wine, club, coliseum, and you check those off. That's one application. For a package store, because I know that came up too, there is another application that also has liquor in the title. And then for the grocery beer permit, it also says grocery beer liquor permit. Again, there's its own application. So I just wanted to let the commission know that because I found it useful to know when whatever we approve, we're going to approve it based on the type that they apply for. And when they come back in for our signature, we're only going to sign off on what it is the commission approved.
But the question, David, was that regardless of which form they fill out there, the one we were discussing last time was, can they sell hard stuff, I guess, at a grocery store if they've signed that third permit?
Yeah, I know that question was asked, but I didn't,
I mean, does it say anything on there that you're limited to beer and wine, or can you put vodka on the shelf? That was kind of the question we had.
I don't think Connecticut in general allows the sale of anything but beer at grocery stores. That's,
Right.
Yeah, that's what we were asking.
yeah,
I think that's right. We'd have to
I think
look at
beer
the,
and wine.
Yeah.
And I think the issue kind of came in play because
It was sake.
the applicant
That
was
was
going
the
to be
difference.
selling the Japanese alcoholic
Sake,
beverage
yeah, sake.
called sake.
which I believe is considered
in
wine.
their
right?
And the way they think of it, it's rice wine. So
That's all for me, Mr. Chairman. That's my update. I
Okay.
just wanted to,
any public comment? No one in the public who wishes to comment. Is there anything else we need to cover? If not, anybody like to move to adjourn?
So moved.
Peter, second. By Tony, you look like you want to second that.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any
You guys
opposed?
want to hang out tonight? or
Any
what?
abstentions? Okay.
all right, thank you, everyone.
What time?